Good morning. I'm going to read a book to you called Millions to Measure in our standard about learning how to measure and then plot data onto a line plot. This book is going to tell us a little bit about measurement by David Schwartz, illustrated by Stephen Kellogg. Says, there are millions of things and many ways to measure. Let's fly back in time and see how people measured many years ago. When prehistoric people held a race, they had to think about distance. Ready, set, hold on, how far should we run? They wanted to know about size and weight. Dad, how tall am I? Ma, how heavy is my little hog? Traders had questions about volume. How much juice will fit in that jug? A bright idea was needed. Ready, set, measure. We'll use our feet. And so people use their feet to measure distance. It's 1,000 feet to that rock. Ready, set, go. But measuring in feet could cause confusion. You, my boy, are 4 feet tall. My dad says I am 4 feet tall. No way, I'm 3 feet tall. There's a problem. Because feet come in different sizes. Measured by my mom's humongous feet, you are only 2 feet tall. To measure weight, people use stones. My darling hog weighs 50 stones. But stones come in different sizes. My huggable hippo only weighs 50 stones. Huh? How many seeds could a container hold? That's one way volume was measured. But some seeds are tiny and others are huge, so once again, measurements could mean mix-ups. 841, 842, 843. Time for another bright idea. Let's fly forward in time. Kings, queens, sultans, sheiks, and chiefs solved the problem of measuring with feet of different sizes. From now on, they declared only 1 foot would be used throughout the land. Hear ye, behold the royal foot. Foot-length rulers were made. See that my subjects measure with nothing else but my foot, 12 inches. Standards were also set for weight and volume. This iron block weighs 1 pound. Use this pound and no other. Today we weigh our Queen Mother. Behold the royal cup. All volume shall be measured with this size of cup. 1 cup of mustard on the royal hot dog. 2 cups of pepperoni on the royal pizza. But what happened when people from faraway lands worked together? It was hard to decide which ruler's ruler would rule. Let's make bicycles. This is a 3-foot wheel from West Latvia. This is a 3-foot wheel from Easternosia. Your queen must have really tiny feet. Gradually, people began to use the same ruler, no matter who their ruler happened to be. Now, a foot was a foot whether you lived in Estonia or Westlavikia. I'll race you to the border. Ready, set, go. Here is the kind of ruler we use in the U.S. The green snake is 1 foot long. To measure something smaller than a foot, we use inches. A foot is divided into 12 inches. This pencil is only 3 inches long. If you want to be very accurate, you use fractions of an inch. You could measure to the 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and so on. 1/16, 1/8, 1/4, 1/2. No matter how I stretch and squirm, I still remain a 1/2-inch worm. To measure something larger than a foot, you can use a yardstick. There are 3 feet in 1 yardstick. Check the chart. Moonbeam is about 1 yard high, not counting her horn. We measure longer distances in miles. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Mount Everest, the world's tallest peak, is about 29,000 feet, or 9,700 yards, or about 5.5 miles high. Let's find out. Marvelissimo, look at that humongous hippo. How much do you think it weighs? We usually measure weight in pounds. Jello weighs 8 pounds. Robert weighs 65 pounds. So does Sandro. However, if Sandro grows up to be an Olympic heavyweight wrestler, he might weigh 260 pounds. But Sandro would be a pushover for Hercules, the huggable hippo, whose weight is figured in tons. A ton is 2,000 pounds. Hercules weighs more than 3 tons. What if Sandro shrinks? If he dwindles to less than a pound, we would measure his weight in ounces. There are 16 ounces in a pound. This bird weighs 1 ounce. If we are weighing something even lighter, we could use fractions of an ounce. This spider weighs 1/10 of an ounce. Remember that cups were used to measure volume. We still use them to measure liquids. Decide how thirsty you are, then check the chart. Jello is happy with a fluid ounce of milk, but after his workout, Hercules has a humongous thirst. He's guzzling gallons. There are also smaller liquid measurements. There are 2 tablespoons in 1 fluid ounce. There are 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon. Tablespoons and teaspoons? Ounces, pints, and quarts? Ounces, pounds, and tons? Marvelissimo, it's all too complicated. We need another bright idea. The metric system, it's based on tens, hundreds, and thousands. The basic measurements here is an actual size of a meter stick. If you are trying to measure something small like an ant, a meter is too big. Try centimeters. There are 100 centimeters in a meter. A centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. If you want to measure something smaller like a flea or a freckle, try millimeters. There are 1,000 millimeters in a meter. A meter, then, is 1/1000th of a meter. A magnifying glass makes measuring in millimeters much easier on your eyes. 10 millimeter size fleas are the same height as a centimeter size ant. Most of the time, millimeters are the smallest units you'll need unless you are a scientist. Hop back into the balloon. The bright idea we need dawned on a French priest in the late 1700s. I've had enough of rulers and their rulers. We need a new system of measurement that is mathematically sound and logical. Check this out. Never, never, feet forever. In the metric system, large measurements are still in meters, not in yards and miles. Soccer fields throughout the world are 100 meters long. Olympic runners can do 100 meters in 10 seconds. What's your best time? Kilo means 1,000. A kilometer is 1,000 meters. If you're in good shape, you can run a kilometer in less than 10 minutes. A pronghorn antelope can knock it off in 40 seconds. An athletic snail can do it in 8 days. Congratulations! All of you ran a good race, and now you're probably thirsty. These water balloons each contain 1 liter. In the metric system, liquid volume is measured in liters. When the snail finally crosses the finish line, he'll probably be able to quench his thirst with a milliliter. Running is a great way to shape up and lose weight. In the metric system, we talk about losing or gaining mass, and mass is measured in grams. Jello's mass is more impressive. She is over 3,600 grams. Sandro and Robert both weigh 30 kilograms. As Olympic wrestlers, Sandro and Robert each weigh 118 kilograms. But they are no match for our champion, that truly massive and huggable hippo Hercules. He tips the scale at 3,000 kilograms. That's 3 metric tons. Because the metric system is so logical and easy to use, it has been adopted by almost every country in the world. However, in the U.S., most people don't use the metric system. As we have seen, confusion can result when people have different understandings about units of measure. And sometimes misunderstandings about measurements can lead to disaster. The engineers and operators who worked on a multi-million-dollar spacecraft made a big mistake. Some of them use feet and miles, while others use meters and kilometers. After blastoff, the spacecraft was supposed to orbit Mars, but instead it was lost in space forever. Many people believe that the United States will eventually join the rest of the world and measure only in the metric system, but you don't have to wait until then because you already now know how. And that is the end to millions to measure. So when thinking about our measurement standards right now, MD2 is liquid and mass measurement. MD4 is learning to measure to the nearest fourth of an inch and then using it to plot onto a line plot. So I hope you enjoyed the book and keep learning.